Hello everyone and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video. And today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Wild Child from the Sugarman Build-A-Figure wave. Here we have Wild Child displayed in the front window with his chains wrapped around his arms, his Build-A-Figure piece. Then down at the bottom we see the X-Men logo and then his name. On the side we have some artwork of Wild Child, and just like the others, it doesn't quite match the Age of Apocalypse artwork, but it is going to match the rest of the artwork, and it looks really good, and it is going to be the same on both sides. On the back, we get a product shot there. We don't get to see that fantastic art expanded upon, which is kind of a bummer, but we do get that product shot. And then we also have a quick read-up. Enhanced regeneration and superhuman senses make Wild Child an excellent tracker. Then we do have all the other figures needed in this wave to complete the Sugarman Build-A-Figure. But enough about that. Let's get this open and take a look at Wild Child. And here is Wild Child outside of his packaging, and once again we get a reimagining of an existing Marvel character. This time Wild Child serves essentially as Sabretooth's sidekick, we'll say. Sabretooth has basically taken Wild Child in as an adoptive son, brother, whatever you want to call it, and the two are pretty much inseparable. Wild Child still retains a lot of his feral attributes, though, caused by his mutation, causing him to be, well, kind of his namesake, quite out of control, and yeah, a wild child. However, him and Sabretooth share a bond, and the chains that we have with Wild Child serve as sort of a leash that Sabretooth can keep him on. And we do get two items with Wild Child, the first being his Build-A-Figure piece, which is the back to the torso of the Sugarman Build-A-Figure, which of course we'll look at that once we build the Sugarman Build-A-Figure. And the other part that we get with Wild Child is going to be his chain, or really effectively his leash. We can see it does clip in on the back here, on the back of his collar. It is removable. You just basically have to wiggle it out, so that is pretty simple to do, and it doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything, so it pops in and out pretty easily. And then as you see, we get this cool wraparound, comes back around, and then you do get this design here where you can have it on Wild Child himself, or if you were to take it off, there is a bit of flexibility with it. So if you were to maybe turn it around, you could potentially have this on. If you have a Sabretooth figure, you could have Sabretooth holding the end of essentially the leash here. And since this does flex up and down, and you get a little bit of flex out of the chain, you could actually set that up for some pretty cool poses there with an Age of Apocalypse style Sabretooth figure. But for now, I'm just going to leave it there on the figure of Wild Child. Now, when standing straight up, Wild Child is coming in at 6 3/8 inches tall, which makes him about 16.2 centimeters. So he is going to be about the same height as the X-Man figure that we just reviewed. But since we don't have any other accessories to look at, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the Sculpt and Paint on Wild Child. And getting up close first, starting with the head sculpt. Yeah, I think Hasbro did a good job here in conveying what I would expect from somebody named Wild Child. We get the angry face, the mouth open, the teeth showing. We get the dark circles around the eyes. Just really well executed, I think. And it does match what I remember from the comic books. I read it not that long ago, so it does look good. You get this crazy hair going with the separate pieces coming down in front of his face. The hairline is a little rough there. You can see a very distinct line of separation, but that's still not bad. And then the rest of the hair just flowing back. So I think Hasbro, like I said, did a really good job of conveying what we would expect from this character. We do have this little collar piece here, which looks good. We get some texture on there, so it doesn't look just like a flat piece of plastic. So you get the sort of leather look to it. And then we do get some paint there on the rivets. That one's a little misaligned. Yeah, so is that one. Matter of fact, looks like all of them have a little bit of a misalignment somewhere. Well, of course, except for some of the ones on the back. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. And then, as far as the rest of the figure goes, not a whole lot else going on. This is going to be reusing the Pizza Spidey body mold, so it's something that we've seen multiple times. However, it is a good choice for this character. This is a scrawny and agile character, so giving him the Pizza Spidey mold was a good fit. We do get a little bit of paint on the hands there just to be a continuation of his costume, and I do like that they painted the fingernails. That is actually really cool that they added that little bit to it. They could have just as easily left him flesh tone. And then when we go down to his feet, we get the same thing where they did actually paint the toenails. And these feet are something that we've seen before. A lot of these symbiotes, Red Goblin, Lasher, and I think Superior Venom all have the same monster feet, if you will. And they work well here for Wild Child. But aside from that, like I said, it's the Pizza Spidey mold, so there's not a whole lot else going on. I will say, looking at it on camera on my monitor, the plastic of the arms looks to be a slightly different color, and same thing actually looking at the legs. I will tell you though, in person, it is not that noticeable, but it seems to be much more noticeable looking at it through my monitor, especially like shots like that where the light is kind of hitting differently. So if you're noticing a different color in the plastic, it's not that bad when you're looking at it in person. Now, looking at the articulation, as I mentioned, it is the Pizza Spidey mold. However, it somehow seems to be more limited than what I've seen before. The head is fine. He doesn't look back very far. The hair is going to get in the way, unfortunately, but he can look down quite a ways. That's going to cause that hair to shoot up. You get a little bit of side to side as well. The arms will come up to about 90 degrees. And then he does have the butterfly joints, and this is part of the limits that I was talking about. I feel like they don't go as far forward as they do on some of the other Pizza Spideys, and they certainly don't feel like they go as far backwards. And in fact, on this one, when I went back and was trying to go back, you can see where I hit the plastic there and caused a little bit of damage. So, I mean, it's there. You get some flexibility out of that butterfly. It just doesn't feel like it moves as far as the other Pizza Spideys that we've seen. We do have a bicep swivel, though, double jointed elbows with some good range, and then he does have a standard hinge and rotation at the wrists. And then the next piece that doesn't seem to have the same range as Pizza Spideys that I've seen in the past, that's his crunch forward. And, like, it just stops. It doesn't feel like it wants to go any further. So it does not crunch very far forward, and that's his backwards. It does not crunch hardly at all backwards. I can get one click out of it. So that's a bit disappointing. I don't know if I just got a bad mold or if there's something going on, but I definitely have Pizza Spidey figures that, I mean, I can almost fold in half, and this guy I can barely move. So let me know in the comments if yours has that same limitation, though, because I am curious if that's just mine or what. He does have a waist rotation. Legs can come apart kind of okay. He can kick forward very far, so that is something that seems to be retained from the Pizza Spidey mold, so that's good. But it doesn't go back at all. Like, literally, it doesn't go back at all. Upper thigh cut, double jointed knees, and then he does have a hinge and ankle pivot. And that is going to do it for this review, everyone. So, overall, another kind of, I don't want to say skimped out on the accessories, but that's kind of what happened here, is another figure that doesn't come with a whole lot of accessories. The chain accessory is cool, and I will say for Wild Child, necessary. I mean, that is part of his character, is having that leash. Now we just need a AoA Sabretooth to pair with him. But it's a pretty cool figure. It's just really awkward to me that it's using a body mold that I've seen before and own multiples of, and yet it seems to have more limits to the articulation than those figures. So that's the thing that's kind of baffling to me. So leave a comment down below. If you have this figure, does your ab crunch go further than mine? Because that's actually the biggest piece, is the ab crunch. This character spends a lot of time very low to the ground, so trying to get more poses where he's really low, some of that ab crunch would help with that. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. But anyway, as I mentioned, that is it for this review. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe for more content just like this. And as always, thanks for watching my videos, and have a great day.